everybody. Hope you're doing all well. We're going to wait and see. Hi, Kelly. Good to see you. I think you're the first one in. So we're going to wait for a few more people to get into the video. I hope you're enjoying staying at home. I know it's just been so much going on these days with come to campus, don't come to campus, make videos. See, Kelly, now you're Instagram famous. Alrighty, so we usually have a few more people joining us. Otherwise, it's just the two of us, so hey, that's totally fine. Oh, there's Grace. Good to see you. Hi, Grace. How are you? Alright, we'll probably have a few more people coming in. And let's see. Well, I don't know if you can tell, I'm thinking about doing some new crafts. So I've showed some of the other pieces I've done. I found this one at Dollar Tree before our shelter in place. My coworker keeps it on my keyboard. Yes, I know. My coworker she's taking a long break. She takes lots of naps, and she's very upset we have not gone out for our walkies. But you know how coworkers are. So I'm hoping to do some more Easter crafts here pretty soon, and I even got little things I'll probably make a Easter wreath. I just thought those were so cute, little muslin bunnies. Oh, so adorable. I like those. Alrighty, well, so let's talk about what's going on in the news lately. I just saw that the Olympics decided to delay for a year. So I understand that's necessary and important, but at the same time, I feel bad for those athletes because, you work and you train your whole life. Hi, Alexis, good to see you. Hey, Google, lower volume. Sorry, my music's a little too loud. Hey, German. There's German. Good to see you guys. Alrighty. So I was just getting started. I was just showing them that I was going to start some Easter projects. I added a couple more bags. I'm going to do some crafting here. So that'll probably be my next project. So like I said, I just saw on the news the Olympics are going to delay their games in Japan for a year. I think possibly that's the smart decision, and hopefully in a year we will be past all of this, and this will all just be a faded memory. I know I was so ready to watch the Olympics, and I love watching the gymnastics, and I love watching some of the more obscure things that are on later at night. I really get into it, and you really kind of, the idea that you support your country, and I love the Parade of Nations. I love the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony. I love learning all about the host country. I know, but, if it protects everyone, then it's worth it. I just feel bad for the athletes because anything could happen in a year's time. You've been training, you're getting ready, and then a year out, you could pull a muscle, you could have a surgery, you could break something. So I just hope all of those athletes stay healthy and are able to just kind of persevere. We talked a little bit about this in my History 1302 class when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. We decided not to go to the Moscow Games in 1980 just to kind of as protest for all the stuff they had been doing. And then they turned around and did that to us when we had the Summer Games in '84 in Los Angeles. That was kind of their way to just boycott all the stuff we had been doing. And I always feel like it's the athletes who pay the price when we make these decisions. Because, again, 4 years is a long time when you're an athlete and you're at peak performance for only a certain amount of years. And then, then your country's like, oh, no, we're not going to go, never mind. So, yeah, so that's hard to watch. The other thing I saw, too, is the Prime Minister of India has declared everyone to stay home for 3 weeks as well. And there's, 1.3 billion people in India. Hi, Joan, good to see you. We were just talking about the Olympics postponing for a year, and also, hi, good to see you, and also that India now is shutting down, telling everyone to stay home for 3 weeks. But what worries me, what I'm noticing, is these places where there's epicenters of people having cases, places like Italy, places like Spain, it's in the cities where everyone is literally living on top of each other, double stacked, whereas like here in Dallas, some of us are a little bit more spread out in the suburbs, or you can at least get some kind of social distance. And move to your left. Okay, thank you. There we go. That's better. All right. I have a delayed feed, so when I see it, then I can respond to it. There we go. All right, I'm in. Thank you. Oh, yay. They're all just connecting with each other. Hi there. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. And so I just think about, especially people in India, you're living in such close quarters, and if cases start happening there, and I'm just worried in some of these countries it's just going to spread like wildfire. And I know London as well, their numbers are going up. So I don't know if you guys saw, the CDC said that we're going to really see the cases kind of double here in the next 2 weeks. So I'm just kind of cautiously staying optimistic and just hoping everyone will stay home. I get so annoyed when I see on the news that people are actually going out, going to the beach and stuff, and then they're getting sick, and it's like, oh my gosh, come on people, what's going on? So I love it. Everyone is just chilling with their animals. Perfect. So Joan, if you saw, I got from the Dollar Tree crafts. I'm going to start maybe a wreath next. That'll be my next thing that I'm going to do. Okay. All right, and I don't know if you saw, but Collin County and now Denton County have agreed to shelter in place. And I saw some chatter on Facebook that people were annoyed that it took so long, and of course a lot of businesses want to stay open. And I mean, I can understand people being frustrated because, it is your livelihood, and it is, how you're going to bring in income, or do you let go of all your employees? I saw, if anyone has been to Pecan Lodge, really good barbecue down in Deep Ellum, you have to wait past, there's a line around the corner just before it opens. And they posted on Facebook that they are having to shut their doors, and they decided to just let go of all their employees so that their employees can then go apply for unemployment so they get some kind of income. And they were just crying about it. But I think they came up with a solution that they're going to continue to cook, but feed all of the medical workers and all the people that still do have to come in and still have to provide services for the city. So that at least makes my heart feel good that I feel for these restaurants. It's like, do you stay open? Do you go to-go service? Do you keep your employees? It's just going to be rough all the way around, and I think we're not really going to feel the effects until about a couple of weeks and a few months, what have you. You've been to Pecan Lodge? Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good. You have to go at some point when they reopen, and I'm sure they will. They're really popular. Hi there. Good to see you. Someone else joined us. Okay, I have to share with you an image that I saw yesterday when I was out. We did go to a grocery store run very briefly because I had to go run up to campus. So on our way home, we stopped to get a few things. And I took a picture of it with my phone. I will post it on my feed later today. But when we were in Carrollton, we were right there at Old Denton Road, and we saw a priest, really a monk, a guy wearing the friar brown robes, and the belt, which is a piece of robe. He's walking down the street, and he's holding a Virgen de Guadalupe, one of those life-size ones. He's holding it like he's holding a child. And I was like, do you see what I see? And he's just walking. And he's just walking. And so I took a picture of him. I'm like, that's something you don't see every day, especially in Carrollton. And I don't know if he was just like carrying it to a friend's house, if he was doing a pilgrimage. I at first made a joke with my boyfriend. I was like, are you seeing it, or is it just me? Am I hallucinating? Is this the sign of the times? Does this mean I'm sick? Is this a reminder? And of course he messed with me. He's like, yeah, I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And no, he did. And then, we went to the store, and then as we're going to get on the highway, that same priest had made his journey all the way down to the service road before you get on I-35. So now I was really curious, and I really wanted to stop and pull over and ask a question, because I'm that person, but someone wouldn't roll down the window and let me. But now it's just been kind of curious, like, is he walking to remind people about grace and to be thankful? Is he giving us a blessing? I don't know. And so it got me thinking about how we deal with faith in crisis, and what are the things that we, cling to, do we pray? Do we chant? Do we light candles? Do we, where was the white rose? Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. Was he doing a reinterpretation? Was he showing homage? Like if you've been to Mexico City and you go to where they have supposedly the tunic, the shroud that held the roses of Juan Diego. He's the one that first saw La Virgen in the Americas. And you can see the tunic. I've actually been and I've seen it. And it's behind glass on a wall. And when you go to the Catedral, people actually crawl on their knees to show such devotion and such respect. And especially if you're facing illness, if you're asking God for forgiveness or patience or something, people will do these pilgrimages, and I'm fascinated by them because how people show their devotion and their commitment to something. I mean, I've always kind of admired people that do that. I won't say any names, but I do know someone in my life that, as a way to show respect for their child coming safely into the world, they choose not to eat meat on a particular day of the week. And they've been doing that since that child was born, as a way to say thank you and to honor the fact that they had prayed and asked for their child to have a healthy life. And now this child is a full-grown adult, and this person is still doing this kind of sacrifice. And I just have, you talk about devotion, you talk about, to me, that's faith, that's commitment to something. And I just think that's beautiful. So whenever I see anyone that does that kind of practice, I have such a respect for that. I kind of keep my own religious beliefs to myself. I don't like to really share them. But I will say this. If you were to give me a label or put me in a corner of what I am or what I believe in, I would say that I am for definite an agnostic, which means that I respect that other people have a belief in God and have a faith, and I want to respect their traditions and whatever that is. Because I've been in school for so long, I have taken the time to study other religions, and I have curiosity. I cannot recommend enough. Definitely take a world religions class. I know Professor Ewing at Richland does a world religions class, and a lot of my students, they learn so much. They learn about the Muslim faith. They learn about Hinduism. They learn about Buddhism. And you see there's a connection to all of this. Sorry, I'm going to lower the volume here. Hey, Google, lower volume. Sorry, my music's a little too loud today. And you see how people through time try to answer those bigger questions to life. Does God exist? And how do we come into the world? And where do we go when we die? And a lot of philosophers, that's what they also struggle with, are those bigger questions to life. And I actually have a book. I used to have it on my bookshelf. All my books are packed up right now, but hopefully when I get new bookshelves, I will put it back on the bookshelf. But I have a book that's called Does God Exist? And the first half of the book talks about all the philosophers who try and prove that God is real and does exist. And then the other half of the book are all the philosophers and believers who argue that God does not exist and that God is not real. So this is a question we have been struggling with for generations. So when I see someone, good to see you, Kelly. I'll post the rest of it online if you want to watch the rest later. So for us to see how people answer that question and deal with faith and deal with those bigger questions to life, just seeing that guy triggered all of that thought. When I did my Do Nothing for 30 minutes, that's kind of what I just kind of chewed on and processed. For me, I am definitely putting my faith in scientists right now, and I'm going to choose to stay positive and believe that they are going to find a vaccine, they are going to find a cure to stop this virus from spreading. So I have to have faith that their skills, their knowledge, their education, their persistence over time. Hi, Sonia. Good to see you. That this is how we are going to get through, and hopefully a year from now, we will be back to somewhat of a normal life that we were used to. And so that's, seeing that priest walking down the street, I don't know. Is it a sign? Is it a symbol? Is it a reminder? I'm not sure. So that was the thought that I had. That was an observation that I had for the day. So, okay, I thought let's do a little bit of trivia. I have some cards for you. I thought we could play, and then I wanted to share one more thing with you, and then I'll probably end a little early today. By the way, we are going to have guest presenters on Wednesday and Thursday. Some of our ALIS officers have been brave enough to volunteer to take over the live feed so that I don't have to keep doing it every day. And so tomorrow, I think Dorian, who's one of our ALIS officers, he is going to take over the live feed. So we'll be real excited. I think he's going to talk about how we're handling this kind of self-isolation and some, maybe a day in the life. I'm not sure. He's working out those details. And then on Thursday, we're going to have another ALIS officer, Montserrat, or Mons as we call her. She actually has her own business. She decorates cookies, beautiful cookies. You can see her Instagram page. I think it's Dulce de Mons, or I'll have to double check. And I think she's going to talk about supporting small businesses, maybe show us some decorating techniques. I'm not sure. But she's working out those details as well. Okay. All right. So why don't we play a little bit of trivia, and then you tell me. This first one is about majority. You tell me which is the best answer. Majority rules, basically. Okay. So here are the questions, okay? So it says, I did the research on the virus for extra credit and found a drug that shows positive signs. Okay, good. German did some research. So, okay, so here's the first question. If your palm itches, okay, it means A, someone is thinking about you. B, money is coming your way. B, a boy is thinking about you in some kind of way, possibly. Or D, you should take a shower. Okay? So that's my trivia question. So if your palm, you ever have like an itchy palm or an itchy hand, if your palm itches, hi Daniela, hi Frida, good to see you guys. What do you think? So A, if your palm itches, someone's thinking about you. B, money is coming your way. C, a boy is thinking about you in some kind of way. Or D, you should take a shower. My palm never itches. 2 people said A. B, money is coming your way. Daniela said money is coming your way. Okay, that's really cool. I didn't know. For me, it was always C, a boy was thinking about you. So when my palm would itch, I'm like, oh, I hope it's the boy I have a crush on. I hope he's thinking about me. Frida says D, you should take a shower. That would be my mom's response as well. E, slap someone. Very funny, yes. You have to put it in your pocket. B, oh, money is coming your way. Oh, and if your palm is itchy, put it in your pocket. I like that. I love it. So there's always these little kind of sayings, or I don't want to call them superstitions. I think that's mean. But just we have these little kind of quirks that we grow up with culturally. And every culture has some of these things. I always thought that was funny. Like if your nose itches or if your hand itches, it has a significance of some kind. For my boyfriend, he hates if he has his legs propped up on the couch, he won't let me cross over his legs. It's about as bad as if I were to walk under a ladder. And I'm just like, I'm not familiar with that one, but apparently it's a thing. You're not supposed to hop over someone's legs. You're supposed to kind of go around them. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Okay. All right, so let's try our next trivia question. Okay. Who was the first Latina to ever win an Oscar? Okay, so this is some movie trivia. All right, so is it A, Salma Hayek? Is it B, Yalitza Aparicio? I just like saying her name, Yalitza. Is it C, Rita Moreno? Or is it B, Lupita Nyong'o? Who is, I wonder, is she even Latina? I'm not sure. I mean, she has a Latina first name. I don't know her background very well, so let's see. Joan says C. Anyone else? German says C. Yes, absolutely. Alexa says D. I know Lupita did win an Oscar, but I don't think it's for being Latina, though. I thought she was of African descent, but again, I could be wrong. Oh, that's right. She was born in Mexico. Oh, thank you for clarifying. Okay, absolutely. Selma, actually, no. I think she got nominated for the movie Frida, but she did not win. I don't think so. I'll have to double check. Yalitza also was nominated for Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress, but did not win. And you're right, it is C. Rita Moreno. Does anyone know the film? Does anyone know of Rita Moreno? This is part of your Latinx, your background, your history. You need to know this if you're going to consider yourself part of Latino culture. Your card could get revoked. Rita won hers, I think, in the mid-'60s. I can't remember the date. I believe it was for West Side Story. Have you seen West Side Story? Modern day version of Romeo and Juliet. Lots of singing, lots of dancing. There's the Sharks versus West Side Story. I know it was a typo. The Sharks versus I can't forget the other. But anyway, it's dance fighting with knives. But it's a really good film, though. I really enjoy it. I remember watching it growing up. Rita Moreno is amazing. She sings, she dances. She's still very active in the community. I will share with you, I did have the pleasure of meeting Rita Moreno back when I was like 15. I went to a LULAC convention in D.C., a national convention, and they actually had a youth group. The Jets, yes! The Jets versus the Sharks, thank you. My memory, I swear to God. So, Rita Moreno was a guest speaker at a luncheon, and I actually got to sit at the table, and I sat right next to her. It was crazy. And she is just so warm and so personable and so lovely. And she makes the funniest jokes. She talked about her mom who had a heavy accent. And her mom would say, Mija, let's go to the bitch. And Rita would be like, what? let's go to the bitch. And she's like, excuse me? She was trying to say the word beach, but because her accent was so heavy, she would say bitch. So let's go to the bitch. And everyone was just cracking up. I thought that was so funny. And I told my mom, so now we have kind of a private joke of, let's go to the bitch. No, we're going to the beach. So, yeah. You have the same problem. Well, I mean, I think accents, I love accents. When people are like, oh, they have an accent. No, just take a moment to really think about what they're trying to say, and I think embrace it. So, yeah, so that's my Rita Moreno story. Have you seen Roma, the Yalitza Aparicio? She's the first what we call indigenous woman. She's more of Indian, Mexican, I would say, Indian descent, what we call cachas indio, remember my grandmother would say. She plays the maid, the nanny. She does everything in the house, and really it's about her perspective in that story. And that film, it's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it is worth watching because you get kind of a slice of life. And for me, that film, I really connected to it because it reminds me of Mexico City, reminds me of my grandfather's house, and he too had a housekeeper who was part of the family, and even the way the car is parked and the way that the house is set up, it was kind of, deja vu. But yeah, Roma is so fantastic, and I really thought Yalitza deserved that award. But, that's just kind of how it goes in Hollywood. But to put a face with that there are different types of Latinos, and you have some that really have more of that indigenous Indian characteristics and features, and there is nothing wrong with that. Everybody is beautiful in every shape and color and form that we come in. So Roma is really good. Salma Hayek, and I'm sure Sonia has seen it. If you haven't seen Frida, oh my gosh. And I feel like we should do like maybe a watch party when we can actually meet in person. Frida, to this day, is a really well done film of Salma Hayek playing Frida Kahlo and telling her story. You watched the trailer for Maria Full of Grace? Yes, you have to watch Maria Full of Grace. We talked about it on our check-in last time. It is really good. You will be blown away. I cannot recommend it enough. So, all right, and I have one more trivia question I thought we would do. Okay? And again, this is just whatever your opinion is. I don't think there's any one right answer. But here is my question. What is the politically correct term to refer to Latinos? We hear this term all the time, PC. What's PC? What's politically correct? Is it better to call people A, Hispanic, B, Latinx, C, Spanish, or D, honestly, I'm not sure anymore? The card, it was too long to write. The card said, honestly, I'm not sure anymore, but I'm also not trying to offend anyone or myself. So it's one of those things like you want to be respectful of a culture, but what do you refer to them? Okay, so Roman says A, German says A or B, Hispanic or Latinx. Joan, B or D? I'm not sure anymore, Latinx. Sonia says A or B. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think we're kind of transitioning more into Latinx, and like I said in an earlier check-in, I'm struggling with Latinx. I kind of have to remind myself. But honestly, I like Latinx because it's inclusive not just of people, but of gender and of transgender LGBTQ community as well. Because if you think about it, the Spanish language and Romance languages has male and female endings. So we actually can say, is the door male or female? Is the desk male or female when you translate it into Spanish? So I like that Latinx is really more kind of neutral. But to be honest, for me growing up, I always referred to myself as Hispanic. And I did that, unfortunately, because I did not want to be referred to as Mexican. Because remember, I grew up in Dallas in the 80s, all-white neighborhood. We were the only minorities in our neighborhood. And so for someone to say, oh, you must be Mexican, it was a derogatory term. It was looking down on and almost like I'm a peasant or I'm of less value. And so I would shy away from that term, and I would say, no, I'm Hispanic, or I'm of Hispanic descent. I know it's really sad. It's heartbreaking. But now I am proud to say that I'm Mexican-American. I am of Mexican heritage. There is nothing wrong with saying that I am Mexican or Honduran or Salvadorian. Yeah, it is infuriating, but, and I still every once in a while, like if I go to South Lake, I get more stares and I get more comments. And, it's every day it's a battle of, do I engage with this person? Do I get in their face? Or am I just polite and laugh it off? Or do I ignore it altogether? It depends on the situation and the context. Yeah, people think you're white. Yeah, people thought I still think I'm white. And especially, oh, well, you don't talk like that, or you don't sound like you're from somewhere. And, so that lends itself as well. When I used to do tech support in the 90s, that people can't see your face. And they would hear my voice, though. And first thing I'd hear, oh, thank God you speak English. So there was already this assumption that I had to be white. And when they assume you are of their group, then they let you in behind the curtain, and then they're even more kind of, how do I even say this? Not racist, but they share a few more things you wouldn't share outside of the political circle, right? So, like, oh, yeah, they have so many of so-and-so's, and I don't understand what they're saying. And I'm like, dude, I'm not white. I'm actually, and again, it was a job, and I had to be professional, and it's like, do I excuse this behavior? Do I check them? Do I gently remind them that, no, everyone here is to help? So I've been struggling with this for years, so it's not unusual. But yeah, and that goes back to that question we asked back in the last week of, what are you? And all of it it's just a vicious circle over and over again. But yeah, half the time I'm not sure. But I am leaning more towards Latinx, and I like that maybe with the club as well. Hi! Good to see you guys. I think it's Pride Richland. Yay! That, what are you? Get assumed, yeah, a lot of people in the community get assumed that we're Mexican, whereas we have a lot of Guatemalan, we have a lot of Salvadoran, we have a lot of Honduran. And I'm sure that has to be frustrating if you're from a different, I'm sure like Natalia, who is from Colombia. I'm sure she gets questions all the time and assumptions, and Professor Joan as well. So, yeah, there we are. All right, so we had our little Latinx trivia. I'll keep adding more of those. Like I said, we're actually going to have guest speakers tomorrow and Thursday. So Dorian is going to take over the feed at 2 o'clock. And then Montserrat, Daniela's sister, is actually going to take it as well. And I wanted to share one last thing with you. And I thought about, we've been doing our breathing exercises and talking about, relaxation. But because I've been watching maybe a little too much Facebook lately, I love that people are reading books, and Patrick Stewart's reading Shakespearean sonnets. And I thought, why don't we do some spiritual nourishment in terms of artistic let me expose you to some more things related to Latino culture in terms of the arts or music or writing or what have you. So today, if you are not familiar with this woman, if you want to know anything about Latino culture, you need to read this book. This is La Frontera, Borderlands, okay? And she calls it, hi Elizabeth, good to see you. And she calls it The New Mestiza. This is by Gloria Anzaldua. I always say her name really badly. In my graduate studies, this book is basically the foundation of most of the things that I write about, talk about. If you've seen any of my TED Talks, my second TED Talk, I talk about her a little bit more at length. I even read one of her poems. This is what she looks like. You talk about a badass Chicana. So she's first generation. She has memories of growing up, in the fields with the migrant workers. Her families were migrant workers. So she has memories of picking vegetables, picking fruit. She actually goes to college. She was just about to get her doctorate, and then she passed away. I think it's been about 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And you're not going to believe why she died. She died because, she had complications from diabetes, but she didn't have health insurance. So she could not see a doctor and get proper care. And she was trying to heal herself holistically. So it's kind of one of those, we lost one of these brilliant minds, one of these great contributors to Latinx culture, and yet we lost her way too soon. And let me tell you, there is a society, and you can find them. They have a Facebook group. It's called the Society for Gloria Anzaldua. They actually they do have conferences. I went to one back in 2007. It was the same year that my father passed away, because I remember, because it was the first time my mom and I actually left the house after he had died. And it was in San Antonio. And Norma Cantu is a professor at UT San Antonio. And so they hosted, it's called the Wetas and the Prietas. And two of my aunts, we call her Auntie Weta and Auntie Preta. And I don't even say it right, but Auntie Light Skin and Auntie Dark Skin. So, of course, we had to go check it out. And I actually took my mom to the conference because they had an open poetry night, and my mom was just blown away just to see so many educated Latinas in the room. The other thing about Gloria Anzaldua is that she was openly gay, so she is a lesbian, and she's a big supporter of the LGBTQ community. And her poems and this book, it's like half kind of academic theory, and the other half it's personal stories, and it's also poems and things. And so she reaches such a broad spectrum within the Latinx community. Hi, Ma, it's good to see you. And what's amazing is that, I took my aunt one night with us, and my aunt was very indignant when we left. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, nobody told me that I could go to college. Nobody told me it was an option. And she was so mad. And unfortunately, my mom and my aunt came from a generation where education, unfortunately, was not emphasized. My first TED Talk, where I talk about my mom's experience, education was not a priority for my mother's family. But for my mom to see all of these strong, educated Latina women, I think it did her heart good. And also, just a little chisme on this, my mom was flattered because there were a lot of lesbian Latinas there, and they were checking my mom out because my mom, she has no wrinkles, she is very beautiful, she does not look her age, and so she was getting kind of the eye, and my mom was noticing this, and she was just eating it up. And then at the end, she's like, maybe I should have been a lesbian. And I love that, like it's a choice. She always wavers, like, I should have been a nun. And then she's like, no, maybe I should have been a lesbian. And I always laugh. I'm like, have you really thought through all of the things? It's not just friendship and holding hands, okay? It's a little bit more involved. But, the idea that she could have had a life without a man in her life, she was thinking about all those different options about how her life could have gone. So to see so many women over the age of 40 who were educated, who have college degrees, who are professors, who are openly gay, and doing this conference, I think for the first time she actually got why I was in school and why education was so important and being a professor was so important. So it was a real bonding moment. So I owe a lot to Gloria for that. So I say thank you, Gloria, for that. And they even had a Day of the Dead altar for her, and I loved it. I took a picture of it, and everyone left offerings and gave thanks to Gloria. And I think about her. She is so important to our community, and especially those of you going on into academia. And if you're curious about Latina culture and reading more books and things, I definitely want to recommend her. Okay, so our last thing is I want to actually read one of her poems to you. I was flipping through, and I was going to do kind of the more popular one that I've done on my TED Talk, but I'm actually going to do one that is a little bit lesser known, but I read it when I was studying for writing my dissertation, and it's called Letting Go. Okay, so let me read it to you. Hi, Claudia. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Glad you're here. Okay, so we're reading a poem from Borderlands, La Frontera, by Gloria Anzaldua. It's Anzaldua, and it has the accent over the U. Okay? All right. So the poem is called Letting Go. And really listen to the words of what she's trying to tell us. She says, it's not enough deciding to open. You must plunge your fingers into your navel with your two hands, split open. Spill out the lizards and horned toads, the orchids and the sunflowers. Turn the maze inside out. Shake it. Yet, you don't quite empty. Maybe a green phlegm hides in your cough. Maybe you may not even know that it's there until a knot grows in your throat and turns into a frog. It tickles a secret smile on your palate, full of tiny orgasms. But sooner or later, it reveals itself. The green frog indiscreetly croaks. Everyone looks up. It's not enough opening once. Again, you must plunge your fingers into your navel with your two hands, rip open, drop out dead rats and cockroaches, spring rain, young ears of corn. Turn the maze inside out. Shake it. This time you must let go. Meet the dragon's open face and let the terror swallow you. You dissolve in its saliva. No one recognizes you as a puddle. No one misses you. You aren't even remembered, and the maze isn't even of your own making. You've crossed over, and all around you space, alone with nothingness. nobody's going to save you. No one's going to cut you down, cut the thorns thick around you. No one's going to storm. No one's going to storm the castle walls, nor kiss awake your birth, climb down your hair, nor mount you on the white steed. There is no one who will feed the yearning. Face it, you will have to do it. You will have to do it yourself. And all around you, a vast terrain, alone, with night. Darkness you must befriend if you want to sleep nights. It's not enough letting go twice, 3 times, 100. Soon everything is dull, unsatisfactory. Night's open face interests you no longer, and soon again you return to your element. And like a fish to the air, you come to the open only between breathings, but already gills grow on your breasts. So, I hope you like that. Her poetry, her imagery is so powerful. Hi, Sham, good to see you. A lot of her writing is very angry and focused, and it's talking about how we have to live in those borderlands living between 2 cultures, and how we have to fight for ourselves and let go this notion of kind of white culture and fairy tales, and we have to find for ourselves to keep moving forward. So, all right, well, perfect for the new, yes, it is new moon, absolutely. Well, I just want to wish you well, give you blessings, and like I said, tomorrow we're going to have Dorian as a guest speaker, one of our LS officers, and then Mons is going to take over on Thursday. Professor Joe was asking, the name of the poem is called Letting Go. I'll see if I can find a copy of it, or I'd be happy to even retype it and post it. It's called Letting Go, and it's from Borderlands La Frontera, okay, by Gloria Anzaldua. And this is actually the 3rd edition. I think that's the latest edition. Okay. All right, so we'll have more details about our guest speakers tomorrow, so keep checking in. We're going to keep doing our check-ins every day this week. I have already made a list of other topics. I certainly want to give you more book recommendations, maybe talk about more music. And I thought about maybe doing a session talking about my famous grandfather and the Dia de los Panchos, and maybe tell you some chisme about that and the background of his success and all of that. So, alrighty, well, good to see you. Have a great day. I'm going to go out and get some fresh air and take my dog for a walk. All right? Bye.